What is happening, everybody? I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and welcome on back to Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon. So, a little change up since last time. I went ahead and cleared out the rest of those tombs that we'd been finding for the Royal Choreographer's quest, or Geographer, sorry, not Choreographer. And I found this weapon, which is Galahad's Mace, and it makes each attack a critical hit. So all this time I've been boosting up my critical chance, and it turns out that just equipping this would automatically put it to 100. So my crit chance is at 200% right now for pretty much no reason. But it did do a lot more damage than Thrigvy's axe, even just default the way it came. So it cranked it up to +7. Now we're sitting at 321 max damage potential in the end. So we're feeling pretty spicy now. Because we didn't need the crit chance anymore, of course I switched out some armor pieces, so now we have the Ashen Veil Cloak, which ups our fizz damage by 20. It does give us 20 crit chance, but it also gives us 20 attack speed, so our attack speed is way up now. And then the only other thing I switched out was, I switched out the Fledgling Robe for the Ashen Veil Robes, which increases our max stamina by 50 when your health is below 25, which is whatever, but the 10% attack speed buff is what I actually came here for. And I did test the King Arthur's breastplate. You remember how I said that if I equipped the helmet, then we would get the +5 on practicality and spirituality, so we wouldn't need to anymore? Well, unfortunately, when you equip an item piece, you don't get those benefits unless you already have what it needs, so I would still need the 6 and the 5 to get this to work, so we probably won't be using any King Arthur stuff, at least not for the foreseeable future. But we do have a new toy. We got this big badass mace looking thing, which actually works out quite well for me, because I mean, I work out with maces, so it's always nice to swing a big mace around in a video game. Makes it feel more relatable to me since I use them for workouts. Which I guess if anybody here is interested in any kind of workout stuff, I would definitely recommend mace training in general. Like, you obviously still need to cover all your bases. For everything else, right, you still gotta do legs, core. But in general, if you get, you gotta start light, otherwise you'll hurt yourself. But once you get good, and your tendons and ligaments have adjusted to mace training, you can start cranking the weight upon that thing, and that's pretty much gonna take care of your shoulders and upper back forever, basically. You'll never have to train your upper body any other way. So then you just gotta focus on legs and core, which for me, I actually hurt my back late last year. I had a pretty big lower back injury powerlifting, so for me I really needed an alternative to lifting heavy for upper body. And honestly, swings, they don't hurt. Like any kind of big overhead pressing, stuff like that, is pretty painful on my back still, even though I'm like months and months removed and I've done a lot of recovery work. But I can swing a mace all day with no real issues. Granted, I did build a pretty good muscle base before I started using those, so I can't really attribute all my gains to that, but it's definitely keeping my gains around, and I definitely feel stronger in my shoulders than I did before with all the traditional movements I was using, so I would certainly recommend any of you to check out that kind of stuff if you're interested in it. Because it's just fun, right? Who doesn't want to swing a big mace around like that, like a fucking Viking warlord? This is a fun way to work out, I think. Which honestly always helps, right? The more fun it is, the more often you'll be trying to do it, and the better it'll all be. And we actually need all 3 to get in here to meet Caradoc. Let's see. That's the sword. That's the shield. And that's the crown. And I imagine this is going to be crunch time on what kind of decision we make to end the game here. Now, when I was talking to the geographers, she made a suggestion on what we do about King Arthur, where she said we can send King Arthur and all his knights that we've gathered into the Wyrdness to make Avalon see the residents here as a part of it itself, and so the Wyrdness will stop trying to consume the people, but it'll also join them to the Wyrdness in a way that I'm not really sure I'm comfortable with. It kind of seems like the green ending in Mass Effect, which I always hated, the synthesis, like turning everybody into techno machines against their will. That always rubbed me the wrong way, so I don't think I'll be going for that, but it's worth noting it's an option. When it comes deciding between Camelot and the Dariada, I guess I already technically made that choice by not giving the Dariada the the giants, but I did unite the clans, so they're way more on even terms with Camelot. And we also took the Horns of the South from Camelot, and that's with the Doriata too. So I think the Doriata will probably win that fight, even without the giants. Now, when it comes to what I'm going to do with Arthur, man, I got no clue. I guess we're about to establish that now.
So, you finally made it. Took you long enough.
I had a lot to
I
do.
hope you're ready, because this is it. The beginning of the end.
What are you talking about? Ready for what?
Ready to finish your journey, of course. You've come far, but every path ends somewhere. Yours ends here, in the heart of it all.
You been waiting for me?
Philosophically, not you specifically, but someone like you. Literally. Yes, and I was getting quite bored with the wait.
Caradoc's opinion on what we should do with Arthur is worth taking note of, but it's also worth understanding that Caradoc has his own perspectives and opinions on Arthur because of his own bias and everything that he went through, right? And for as much as I would like to say too that I really appreciate the story writing of this game so far, because we've seen Arthur go on a journey, man. When we first met him, he didn't really understand what was happening, but he wanted to travel Avalon. He was hopeful at the start, right? Let me go see my kingdom and how it's holding up. And then we went from that to him kind of being like a little broken about the whole thing, but not too bad. He was just a little disappointed, but he was like, we can fix this. And then in the midpoint of the game, he's like, okay, I'm coming back. This world needs me. I'm going to take the indecisive people out of the picture and I'm going to fix this shit. And then at the end of the last episode, man, he was just broken and dejected. He just didn't care anymore. He didn't even have input for what we did with the giants. He said, do what you want. Doesn't matter. I don't recognize this place anymore. King Arthur has gone on a hell of a journey. He went from, you know, justifying his actions to wanting to fix his actions to now just not caring. Obviously, Caradoc wants him gone. People like Aaron, who Caradoc was working with before, want him around for good. Camelot, I'm sure, would love to have him back because they all have their thumbs so far up their asses they can't do anything without him. And then the rest of the people would like him to die, or never come back, or etc. And I still, even 37, 38 episodes deep, have no idea what I want to do about that. What is this place?
This is the Charred Conclave, a graveyard for druids, burned alive as scapegoats for the Red Death. It's a reminder of what happens when people fear what they don't understand.
So why are you waiting here for me?
To greet you. I was once where you are now. A knight with questions, searching for answers. That search led me to this place. And here I found my answers. Now it's your turn.
I'd like to know more about the Charred Conclave. The druids were scapegoats. What did they do?
They spoke out. They should have stayed silent, kept their herbs and potions, but they didn't. They believed their ancient knowledge, ugly and painful truths from times long past, could save Avalon from the plague. And maybe they were right. But people don't want the truth when it's covered in blood.
True. I mean, they didn't do themselves any favors either with the rest of Avalon by flooding the village, for example, and burning people to cover their own mistakes and misdeeds, right? And when you look at what they were doing to Seawall, and Merlin was the head druid, it all kind of adds up why people would have already been distrusting of them. Ugly and painful truths, what do you mean?
Cruel rituals, sacrifices, hard choices in search of real results. They called it wisdom, knowledge gleaned from the Wyrdness itself. But to the people, everything they did was unnatural, costly, and frightening.
I can see where they're
Druids
coming from.
believed their results would justify the costs. They thought Avalon would see them as saviors. But the people didn't understand, and fear turned to fire.
So the druids were punished for trying to help.
Well, the Red Church and their politicians made sure of that. The Druids became a convenient enemy, a way to shift the blame and tighten their grip on power. It's always so simple, so banal, isn't it?
Saw the graveyard above. Where are we right now?
Well, death doesn't always mean an ending. It was a sacrifice so costly, so cruel, so pointless, that it tore a rift in the fabric of this world. An ultimate wound. And so you're the closest you'll ever come to seeing the true shape of this world.
What can I expect?
Well, first, you're going to meet my former employer. We don't see eye to eye anymore.
Oh, Aaron.
But we both realize that our collaboration yields results, as shown by you being here. He'll try to sugarcoat the hard truths I've been telling you from the beginning, spin them differently. Never mind. Why waste time here talking about it when you're just a step from the end? It's best if you just go forth and see for yourself.
Fair enough.
Just remember, this is the point of no return. Once you step through, there's no going back. But if you've come this far, I suppose you already knew that. Go on. He's waiting for you.
Oh boy. And like Caradoc has so kindly pointed out before, if we don't choose what he wants, he's gonna try and kill our ass at the end of this. He told us that a while ago, that when push comes to shove here at the end, we either side with him or fight him. We'll see what the Weasley little mage boy spins us. What the fuck are you? What in the eldritch monster? Yeah, when it comes to situations like this, every NPC is gonna have their own brand of bullshit. They're all gonna bring their suitcase with things to sell.
I've heard much about you. Your choices, your determination. Caradoc isn't easily impressed, but he was impressed with you. Few dared to seek the truth buried in Avalon's shadows. Fewer still make it this far. I was the first. Caradoc followed when my brethren burned and the tear opened. And now, here you are. A truly rare and joyful occasion.
Who are you exactly?
Oh, forgive my lack of manners. I am Orin, the last apprentice of Merlin, and the last archdruid of Avalon. I've carried the weight of this land's secrets longer than I care to admit. But names mean little. What matters is the task before us.
What is this place?
What lingers here? It's older than Avalon. Older than anything we know. What you see is the beginning of Wyrdness itself. Its purest form. Raw potential. Unshaped by anything but its lack of boundaries and limits. Beautiful, isn't it?
What do you want from me?
Oh, precisely the opposite of what Caradoc wants. I want you to help me resurrect King Arthur. Properly this time.
So he wants to kill him properly, and you want to resurrect him properly.
Ridiculous, I know. But yes, that's what it boils down to. At some point, we stopped seeing eye to eye and chose different paths. Ultimately, though, both our paths led to you.
Me? How?
Yes, please let me explain. By the end of his life, Arthur became obsessed with his legacy. He left mementos, artifacts that embodied the virtues he wanted Avalon to preserve. Excalibur, a symbol of loyalty and sacrifice. The crown of Pendragon, a beacon of courage and resilience. The shield of Palamedes, wisdom and independence. But Merlin and the others didn't believe that would be enough. The memory of war and the fragility of peace was still too fresh. So they acted. When the king died, his soul wasn't allowed to move on. It was shattered, bound to those artifacts. A clever solution, but ultimately flawed.
Why would they divide the king's soul?
They feared losing what Arthur represented more than losing Arthur himself. They thought the king's essence would endure if bound to his relics.
What was flawed about it?
You can't pick and choose with a soul, but that's exactly what Merlin did. He focused on 3 parts of Arthur: his strength, wisdom, and courage. He left out 2 pieces. One, tainted by the Four Dwellers' magic, was deemed too dangerous. The other was his humanity, the most fragile part. Merlin thought compassion and doubt were weaknesses, unfit for a king. Without them, Arthur became hollow. A king with power, but no heart. That way, Avalon's greatest failure was born.
Didn't anyone try to resurrect Arthur as a whole?
I tried. And I found his humanity. It's here, bound, kept safe. But the Four Dwellers' aspects was left to drift, untethered between worlds. Finding it needed more than magic. It needed someone like you.
Me?
The horrors you endured on that island gave you something no one else has. You can move through the weirdness, touch it, and return whole. That's why you found the king's soul, bound it to yourself, and came back.
You're saying all of that, everything I went through, was all part of your plan?
You flatter me. No, I couldn't have predicted all of that. I merely nudged the Red Church in the right direction, and asked Caradoc to assist where I couldn't. I can see you're still doubting me.
It's not that I doubt you, it's that I kind of find you repulsive, because everybody that's been tortured to death in that church is because of you. All the Red Death experiments, like the woman with her children, the pregnant lady. That's all because of this guy. He pushed for that so he could just find one person that was fucked up enough from the Red Death to be able to do what he wanted. And what do you want to achieve?
I want to bring back our king, whole and complete. I want him to lead again and safeguard Avalon's future.
What if this resurrection fails? Again.
It won't. This time, Arthur will be whole. A king must be more than power. He must be human. That balance is what will save Avalon.
Why do you want this so much?
Because I've seen what happens without him. Wyrdness preys on the weak, and the people are too divided to stand against it alone. Arthur is their only hope. Ever they're left without him, without guidance, chaos takes hold. Division festers. You've seen it during your journeys. If things continue this way, Avalon will tear itself apart long before Wyrdness finishes the job.
Even if he's whole, what if the people won't... I'm not going to ask that because they obviously would. What if you're wrong? What if unity isn't enough?
Then Avalon falls, and with it everything we fought to protect. But I don't believe I'm wrong. Help me bring the king back, whole and complete. That's all I ask of you. Now you need to go further. I made my case. Please keep in mind what I told you. This is the only way for Avalon to survive.
Like I said, everyone's going to have their briefcase, and everyone's going to tell us that their way is the only way here. That's obviously how this is going to go. I guess it's up to us to decide which briefcase we're going to pull out. I can tell you one thing, though. The King Arthur from the start of this act, where he wanted to fix it all and he sounded determined as ever, that guy would have potentially brought back the dejected who cares, none of it's worth my attention anymore because they all fumbled. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, I imagine I'll have some kind of conversation with Arthur at some point about all this, at least I would hope. This is where I have to choose whose side I'm taking here.
I was there when it all began, when Arthur first set foot on Avalon. I was a knight in his army. We believed in him, in his dream, in his kingdom. And for a while, it was glorious. Every battle felt like a step closer to peace. Every sacrifice justified by the dream we shared. But then came the cost. The war crimes, the impossible decisions, the massacres, slaughters, and irrational cruelty. We turned from knights into butchers, all because his dream demanded it of us. At first I told myself it was necessary, that it was the price of building something great. But the longer it went on, the harder it was to believe. That's when I realized Arthur wasn't a god, a savior, or a king. He was just another man, no different from the rest of us. And no man should have the power to demand such sacrifices.
I would like to point out, however, as a counter case to what he's saying, if they hadn't have done what they did, my understanding is the entirety of humanity would be dead to the Red Death in the homeland already. So, it's pretty what he's saying, but would you rather every single human be dead than be here in the situation right here and now? Because like coming to Avalon and then fighting the war for Avalon is the only reason humanity even still exists. And if you had lost that war or not come here in the first place, then this whole thing is negated because humanity wouldn't exist either time. And you want to kill him once and for all. I've heard that before.
But do you understand why I want it so much?
Because you hate what you've become?
I'd like to believe that after 600 years I've moved past pettiness. You need to understand that people thought, and still think, that he was more than human. But he wasn't. He made mistakes, just like any man. And the cost of those mistakes was always paid for by others. I've seen what happens when people cling to kings and myths. They wait. They follow. They waste their lives on promises that never meant anything. But that's not my problem. I'm not here to fix Avalon or to free anyone. What comes after doesn't matter. Let it all burn. Let it rot. Let it rebuild. I won't be here to see it.
He says he's above pettiness, but those promises that meant nothing according to him because of things that had to be let go of during the war, they mean something to everybody else. When the Daurita still bend the knee and honor the old traditions, they do that because of King Arthur and the war for Avalon. So he can say that the promises meant nothing, but they clearly did. When the giants are now forever sleeping and they kept the crown, and you know, that's all from Arthur. Granted, things had to be sacrificed to win the war, but what he's saying about symbols and tradition and culture is not true in my opinion. Just because Arthur was a man, which I don't... who's under the illusion that he wasn't? Certainly not me, especially not after having so many conversations with him. But just because he... saying that you stand for honor and doing something dishonorable in way of keeping humanity alive doesn't mean that the concept of honor is trash and should be scrapped. People aspiring to be like King Arthur is not a bad thing. Even if they misunderstand the situation. If somebody sees King Arthur as a hero, even incorrectly as he says, when they try and aspire to be like him and uphold those principles, that's still a net good. So what are we doing? You think people can stand on their own against the Wyrdness, the monsters?
Let them stand, let them fall. It's not my concern. If the Wyrdness takes them, so be
You
it.
see, he doesn't give a fuck.
At least it won't be another king's failure. Another lie propping up a dying world. It'll just be what it is.
Yeah. So, he gives no shits. He's immortal. He's been alive for 600 years. He's old. He's bitter. He doesn't care. It's beyond him. But what's important that he's skipping is the families in the village, you know, raising children, hunting, cooking, doing what they can to make a better life. All those connections people make, art, poetry, music, crafts, forging, all the skills, all the love, all the connections, the family lines, the blood ties, the tradition, the culture. That's all here still. And he's just like, "Ah, I don't care if it all dies. I just don't want another king." He's just against monarchy. It's kind of like boiling it down a little much, but what he's really saying is he just doesn't like the concept of a king. He thinks it's all trash. You want people to face adversity without guidance and leadership. Isn't that just chaos waiting to happen?
Call it chaos, call it freedom, I don't care. Let them rise, let them fall, let them tear each other apart. I just want to watch it all come down, to see the last lie collapse under its own weight. What comes after, that's for the ones still standing to figure out.
Alright, Caradoc, you lost me. And what if your way leads directly to people's falls and demises?
Then let it. If this world can't stand without a dead king propping it up, maybe it deserves to fall.
You're a nihilistic fool. See, I can't get down with that. He's just like, let them all die, let them tear each other apart, let it all burn. And he literally said, I just want to watch it all burn. Like, we're good. I'm not siding with him. I don't want to watch it all burn. I want to save Avalon for the people that aren't involved in your stupid schemes. Even if you destroy Arthur, the Round Table can just crown someone new. Replace him.
Arthur's the only myth that still holds weight. And when he's gone, the rest will rot with him. A puppet king, another empty throne, none of it will last. Maybe they'll keep pretending for a while. Maybe they won't. I've lived longer than any man should. Seen more than anyone should ever bear. And I've waited centuries for this moment, this chance, to end it all. To end him.
That's the pettiness, huh? Oren made the case that people need Arthur, that they can't face the Wyrdness alone.
And we'll never know if that's true, because we've never tried. And who ever said that we were meant to survive the Wyrdness at all?
That's not an option to me.
We were fools to tamper with forces we didn't understand.
So just die then?
Resurrecting Arthur, infusing him with powers of the Wyrdness. We didn't just bend the natural laws, we shattered them.
That part rings
Such
true.
violations of nature's order cannot go unanswered. The bill comes due, sooner or later. Always.
You talk a good talk, but you just want to watch it all crash down. Tell that to the women and children in the villages that you're about to burn.
But now, here we are. You've done what no one else could, what even I couldn't do. You've brought Arthur's soul back together, almost complete, but not quite. And because of you, I can finally finish what I started centuries ago. So, thank you for bringing us to this moment. You're close now. Just one more step. The last fragment of Arthur's soul is waiting for you. Complete what you came here for. And then, we'll meet again. As allies, or as enemies. That's up to you. Go. Find the last piece, and let's end this. Whatever comes next, I'll be ready. I hope you will be too. Go.
I gotta be honest, Caradoc. He lost me. His little speech there about his path is him actively wanting to kill everybody. And it's a nice sentiment, right? You have all the corrupt politicians and people he hates inside the council, right? It's a nice touch. It's nice to just sit there and be like, yeah, it's fine, fuck them, right? We could just burn it all down. They're all bad guys anyways. But what he's failing to acknowledge is all the people that aren't bad guys. All the people that are in the villages and the towns and the local smithies, the bars, the taverns, the bards. Sin to the Father, man. All those people didn't cause this. That's him that caused this. Is that King Arthur? It's his humanity we're here for, right? Ob.
You've come. The one who carries what's left of me. Please, don't come any closer. Don't force me to think about coming back again. Just let me finally die.
I didn't expect that. Why do you want to die?
Because I've had enough. Enough of being torn apart and stitched back together. Enough of being used, shaped, and forced to be something I'm not. Do you know what it is like to be a king of nothing? To see the people you swore to protect suffer because of your choices? Or worse, in your name. I've seen towns burnt to the ground, families destroyed, all because someone thought it would serve the greater good. And they called it loyalty. They called it justice. I've been dragged through every dream, every lie they've built around me. And I'm tired. Tired of the weight, of the expectations, of all of it. And most of all, I'm tired of failing.
I guess it's important to understand here too that this is not all of King Arthur. This is just his humanity. This is not his wisdom, his courage, his power. All the other pieces of him aren't here. We're just talking to his humanity. What about Orin? He's trying to bring you back whole this time.
Orin wants a king, not me. He doesn't see the broken man behind the myth. He sees a symbol, a weapon to wield against the Wyrdness. But symbols aren't people. They're empty. And the more they're used, the more they hollow out the one who carries them. That's all I've ever been to Orin and the Druids. Do you know what it's like to be a weapon? To be forged, sharpened, and thrown at every problem?
And Caradoc, he wants to destroy you forever.
He thinks ending me will free Avalon. But what then? Without an idea, a light to guide them, they'll stumble, lose their way, and turn on each other. People always seek something to follow, something to believe in. Take that away, and they'll tear each other apart trying to find it. Or worse, build something even crueler in its place.
What is it in death that you want?
I want release. I want to stop being a tool in their endless struggle. Kill me. Destroy the last piece of me and use the energy however you wish. Take it yourself and become the new king. Give it to someone else. I don't care. Just don't let me come back again. Let me die. Not as Arthur, not as the king. Just as a simple, normal human being.
You're the human part of Arthur's soul. Without you, he can't be whole.
Isn't that what you've been doing all along? Carrying what's left of him? You've already taken up the humanity I was meant to represent. Doesn't that prove Arthur doesn't need me anymore?
Don't you care what happens next with your kingdom?
I don't care. Do you know how freeing that is? To finally not care what happens next? Whether Orin gets his king or Caradoc gets his ruin? To not feel the burden of all my failures? To not see my memory tarnished, my plans, goals, and ambitions dragged through the mud? To not see the suffering my name causes? No more deaths in my shadow. No more kingdoms built on my bones.
How about you come back and fix it instead of running away to death? This is all a sweet sentiment, but if it's all being done in your name and people are getting your memory wrong, how about you sack it up and come back and fix your shit? This is on you to fix because you fucked it. That's not my job. It's not Orin's job or Caradoc's. And you actually have a chance to fix it if you're whole. Instead of trying to run away to death and just let the chips fall where they may. You've been through a lot, but there has to be another way that doesn't involve your ultimate death.
Another way? There's always another way, isn't there? Another cycle, another resurrection, another lie to keep the world spinning. But please, not for me. Not anymore. I've had enough. I don't want another chance. I want this to be over. Do what you think is right. That's all I can tell you. Because whatever you decide, it will finally be your choice. Not mine. Not theirs. And that's the only thing I've ever wanted. You hold the choice. I don't care who you side with. Orin, Caradoc, or no one at all. You have all of my soul. Use it. Take it for yourself. Give it to someone else. I don't even want to know. Do what you will with it. Just let me go. Let me finally rest. Let me die. Please.
I can't kill you in good conscience because you are not connected to the rest of your being. It's easy for him to ask to die when he's just the humanity part that feels all of that. The rest of him as a whole might have something to say about that.
Let me go.
Okay, so I have no way to talk to him further to not get him to do that. I don't think I can just suck his soul. I guess I could kill him, but I'm not gonna kill him. I can't just blow his back out in good conscience without the rest of everybody else signing on to this. I'm guessing this is probably gonna be the Wyrdness part.
Help me bring the king back, whole and complete. Now you need to go further. I made my case. This is...
Okay. Sure you have the same message, right?
He's waiting for you.
Famine saves here.
Let me go. Let me finally rest.
It's the Holy Grail.
You carried a dying king across the bones of a dying world. Now you stand before what started it all. An idea. I am the reason there must be an ending. I do not guide. I do not judge. I exist so that something can be chosen. I do not offer meaning. I require that one be made. You have brought all things to their conclusion. Now, decide what must remain. Choose, and let the shape of the world follow.
Oh boy. What if I choose Aron's path?
You will vanish into the story you chose to restore.
What if I choose Caradoc's path?
You will break the frame, and what follows will not remember you.
What if I take the king's soul for myself?
You will be seen. You will be followed. You will be blamed.
What if I give the king's soul to someone else?
You will shape the world to become its witness.
Oh boy. Well, this one's a white option, so I'm thinking about giving the soul to somebody else.
Who do you have in mind?
Holy shit, we can just pass this shit on. Brendan is the, that's the Horns of the South guy that I wasn't a fan of, I think. Niante is the old woman that was serving Yvain. Fear is the blacksmith that went with Yvain. One Eye is the Dalriada. Stealth is the leader of the cult of Morrigan, and Fianola is the geographer. Okay, so one thing that I'm for sure not doing here is I'm not taking the soul for myself. That I'm not equipped to run a kingdom like this, okay? I'm just a warrior here. This is not on me. Caradoc lost me when he talked about just burning it all to the ground. And I don't think I trust anybody else that we've met in the whole game to be the leader of the entirety of Avalon. Which really kind of only leaves me with bringing King Arthur back to life. Now, you could say that the original problem here was that when we came to Avalon, we waged war against the Four Dwellers, right? But every Four Dweller we've seen in this game has been a bloodthirsty monster that negatively affected people, right? Like, the one guy that ran into a Four Dweller in his dreams, he had his soul sucked out of him and became like a rabid monster. And then even when we killed that thing, he still never came back. That thing was just sitting there craving human blood. Now, it is said that every time Arthur resurrects, the Wyrdness becomes stronger. I think that was mentioned in this game. But why that is, who could say? I feel like given the situation, and given everything Arthur has seen with the memories he will have from traveling with us, he should know enough to be able to right some of these wrongs, and I honestly don't believe that anybody else can do that. I think King Arthur is the only one capable of unfucking this, and it's his mistakes to unfuck. I think Merlin is the true villain here with everything that he did, but Merlin's already dead as far as I know, or at least he was sucked off into the land itself. That's what Arthur said. So Merlin's out of the picture. He can't be here to fix this. But Arthur can be here to fix this, and nobody else has given me any solutions at all. Caradoc just wants to let it burn, which I'm not comfortable with. Arthur's humanity alone wants to die, but Arthur as a whole has wanted to right his wrongs this whole time. And again, giving it to somebody else, none of them, like Yvain didn't want it, he ran Kunokt into the ground, Brendan ran the Horns of the South into the ground, all these other people just seem wildly incompetent. Oh boy. Well, if I don't like this ending, I guess I'll I'll reload and we'll do what I do in other games where I show all the endings at the end.
Then the idea shall endure, unquestioned, repeated, secured by return.
I begged you not to do this. I begged you.
Caradoc's gonna be pissed.
No, I won't let this happen. Not again.
You just want the world to end. I don't respect you. I have nothing for you but the same energy you have for the rest of the world, Caradoc. I can take his bow, but I can't take his armor. Is there a way I can finesse this? Doesn't look like it.
Through your sacrifice, the king returned, entire, unbroken, and ready to reclaim his throne. You held faith that Avalon's fate still turned with him, that one last rising could bring balance to the broken land. Now he rules again, and the world bends to the weight of your choice, for salvation or for ruin. You gave everything to restore the king, and your journey ended with his return. Closing your eyes upon the sight of Arthur's triumph, you felt no regret, only the certainty that your final choice had been the right one. With One Eye and Captain Brandon working side by side, the South found a peace it hadn't known in years. The roads stayed open, the fields were guarded, and the people finally felt safe. No longer bound to Camelot or the Knights of the Round Table, it became a land ruled by its own people on its own terms. The men here stayed in Kuanacht, but Yvain failed to rally the minds and hearts needed for his Grail quest. With no clear leaders and rising tension, both Kuanacht and Camelot grew fragile, drifting toward division, with no one left to hold the line. You awakened the giants, only to command their end, leaving no power behind for either side to claim. Without their strength, the balance held, but the divide between Camelot and the Dal Rita remained, wide, bitter, and far from settled. Firgas was named the new Galahad the Loyal. With One Eye and Brandon unable to rally the Dal Rita of the Forlorn Swords, the South remained divided. Firgas prepared Camelot's forces to reclaim the region by strength, determined to restore unity through conquest if necessary. The captain led the South to independence, breaking all ties with Camelot. Under his rule, the Horns of the South flourished. Merchants, pilgrims, and adventurers returned to the roads, and prosperity once again reached the far corners of the land. One Eye ruled the South with the Horns of the South at his side. The Dal Rita of the Forlorn Swords remained divided, leaving the South strong but isolated. Without wider unity, his rule endured for a time. The future beyond his leadership remained uncertain. Nianta left Kuanacht with Yvain, and her fate remained unknown. Yet among the people she once served, tales of her devotion and courage endured, and her name was remembered with respect. Maggot chose to remain in Kuanacht, and the people stayed with him. Over time, they grew to trust him and often sought his wisdom. In time, he took on an apprentice, planting the first seeds of a new druidic tradition. Urfre left Kunacht alongside Yvain, despite concerns about his age. His fate remained unknown, but the people admired him for finding purpose at the end of his life and spoke of him with lasting respect. Ailey turned to the merchants for support, and for a time the hospital prospered. But when they began charging patients for care, she walked away and opened her own small practice, refusing to serve profit over healing. The Volker joined the rest of the Dal Rita without a matron and without Mathar's blessing. Even so, their warriors kept the ferocity they had once been famed for, tempered now by a clarity that left the other tribes uneasy. They were respected, but only barely. For what greater dishonor is there than turning one's back on the goddess who had made them what they were? Ingui turned away from the eternal sleep, choosing life over dreams. In time, she began to rebuild the Thoid among the living, planting the first seeds of a new future for her scattered people. Under Stronner's leadership, the Ulfra found new strength. He rebuilt the tribe and reunited them with the rest of the Dal Rita, restoring their place among the tribes of the Forlorn Swords. With the Stagfather slain and the old bonds broken, Balaam led the Svine towards a new path. He opened the tribe to the other clans of the Dal Rita and guided them to settle in the Mather mines. You placed self at the head of the children of Morrigan. Operating from the shadows, the Guild reshaped Avalon's politics through quiet influence and assassination, while the people lived unaware of the power that ruled them. You chose to dismantle the children of Morrigan. There were no more crows to carry out her will, for now.
That's not true.
Morrigan withdrew into silence, patient as ever, waiting for the day when new souls would rise to serve
That's
her
not what
again.
happened. The last slide just contradicted that.
After returning to Camelot, Killian lived quietly for a time. When he vanished, few asked questions. Unsettling rumors had always followed him, and most preferred not to remember.
Okay, so those ending slides. I got some words for those ending slides, everybody. Those... The thing with the tribes doesn't make sense. It just talked about how I united all of them and all made them all really, really strong. But then in the other stuff, it flat out told me that it was too unstable, they couldn't rally, nobody supported One Eye. And like with Kuanok too. I missed Brotherly Love and Silent Burden in Kuanok. I did all the other quests, so I'm not sure what I could have done differently to get Kuanok more support. I guess the implication there is that the right choice for stability would have been to give the giants to the Dal Rita and have them just topple Camelot into oblivion. But I wasn't going to give any side nuclear bombs. And it didn't really tell us what happened by us bringing King Arthur back. Kind of just left that all unspoken. The hospital failed, even though we did all that questline and got her the support she needed, but she did open her own practice, so that's a W. And it said that Kuanok was unstable, couldn't get support, but then in the next breath it told me that Maga did really good, it started a new druidic tradition, and everybody stayed in Kuanok with the men here, protecting everybody. So it's like a mixed bag of good and bad, where nothing really tracked or followed, though. It's Caradox Bow. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. That ending left me with a whole gang of questions. It spawned me at the start of Kuanok. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that one. That was a little bit of a anticlimactic ending, I think. It's still a great game, and I definitely enjoyed it, but the ending slides there left a lot to be desired. I'm not even sure what my choice really accomplished there in the end. And even the Forlorn Swords, I'm pretty sure I did 100% of the content there, but it seems like they suffered because I didn't give the Giants to the Dalrita and the Forlorn. But the Horns of the South was doing great. It basically is, once One Eye died, it's basically saying who knows what's gonna happen. I think I made the right choices there, because the only other alternative there really would be to let it all burn. Alas. That is going to be the wrap up to this series. If I honestly had to give my final thoughts for this game, I would honestly call it what I called it a couple times during the series. Skyrim, but better, I think is the perfect way to describe this one. If you like Skyrim, if you like open world games, you'll love this. If you like Arthurian legend, then you'll love this. It has a really cool art style and dark tone to it. The themes of this game are fantastic, but I think in the end, the best way I can describe this was it was more about the journey than the ending. Because I loved the journey. The journey was fantastic, but I think the ending I'm a little disappointed in. I mean, I could go back and check out the other endings and see what the other stuff was all about. But I think the main fun here was just establishing builds and playing out the content. The gameplay is fantastic and the build crafting is really cool. My favorite things of this game from the story is definitely the interactions with King Arthur and speaking to him along the way about all the different things that are going on. But yeah, the ending definitely left something to be desired. And maybe I missed something, you know, maybe that was the bad ending and I just don't know that. But I don't think so. Something tells me Caradoc would be the bad ending. That's what it felt like to me. He didn't do a great job of selling that to me, so. Anyways, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the series as much as I enjoyed playing it. If you did, then please subscribe, leave a like and a comment. If you want to support the cause and help improve the channel, please do check out those links in the description below. Otherwise, stay tuned and I'll see you soon with more. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Peace.